welcome. Welcome to RPG Research. This is our Tuesday weekly researchers meeting from 9 a.m. to noon Pacific time on twitch.tv/RPG Research. Learn more at rpgresearch.com. We're a 501c3 nonprofit studying the effects of all role-playing game formats and their potential to help people improve their lives. So, Eric is not available. He's around traveling the country and not able to join us for today's meeting. Luckily, he got his initial blog posting out. But February is fast reaching an end, and we need to get some more of ours done and get this process smoother. I know a lot of that's my bottleneck, too, on getting the process with the website. But I think we're starting to get some momentum here. So Omar and Jonathan are here. I don't know if Brandon or any of the others are going to be able to make it. Shane or Dan in Brazil will be able to make it today. But so let's just go ahead and proceed. I had a fair number of things wanted to cover today. First of all, did you guys see my message that I've been sending both through email, Discord, and our intranet about that little script for a video or that we're trying to put together? Either of you see that?
Yeah, I saw it. I have not had time to make one. I feel guilty about that, though. Because you said it should only be about a minute. I think maybe some self-consciousness there.
Yeah. If the video is too much to ask, it's really the optimal thing because we're putting together a quick collage thing, and we're going to have subtitles, and then that way with both video and audio, it's more accessible to a wider audience, whether it's a deaf or visual impairment. That was the widest audience. If you're too uncomfortable with a quick little video clip, an audio clip is okay, and if you're still not comfortable with that, then if you would just quickly write something, along the lines of a testimonial or something. But we're trying to put stuff together because we're having a workshop very soon, I think next week, with Ben Dobbins at Zombie Rivers Entertainment to overhaul our Patreon page, and this is exactly the kind of content we need to try to get our Patreon to move that needle, because that needle just hasn't been moving. And one of the most helpful things is testimonials from the people who are involved, who are just saying, what they are and showing that they're real people. One of the things I got feedback from a few weeks ago was they think there's just a handful of us here in Spokane and that's it. Folks don't know that we're diverse and, across the world and more than just a handful of folks. And this is one of the effective ways to help get that word out. I've already posted here and there that there's many of us and the many locations, but video is where everybody's getting their stimuli from these days, as far as awareness. So if there's any chance to just grab your smartphone and just quickly record something, it doesn't need to be fancy as long as there isn't too much background noise. Just reading from the script and just insert the appropriate variables. If you want to add a little personal touch, you're of course welcome to. You don't need to worry about editing it. I will take care of that. But whatever you're comfortable with, but we really do need that from everybody that we can get. If you can just take about 5 minutes.
Yep, okay, you convinced me. I'll make a video today or tomorrow.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Omar, did you see those messages?
Yes, I'm so sorry, but I also did not have enough time.
Okay.
I'll make something this weekend though for the next meeting for sure.
Okay, well, it's not for the meeting. It's for it's before we have the workshop with Ben Dobbins.
No, I know. I meant my weekend.
Oh,
your weekend.
Okay, great.
On
All
Friday,
right.
basically.
Okay, thank you very much. Just trying to get that from everybody. So please do that, and then either send it to me, or if it's too large to send, then just send me a link to grab it, and then I'll grab it, and then I'll take care of the rest of it from there. Okay, let's see. Let's hear where everybody is at on their blog posting development. Omar, where are you at?
I am just editing a couple of things before I send them off to Dan for review. because he's next on the chain.
Okay. And you'll be doing that today?
Tomorrow.
Okay. How's that coming along for you?
It's fine. It just I just don't have a lot of time, so I'm having to rush. I was supposed to finish today, but we're having the meeting.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure I'll finish it by tomorrow.
Okay. How'd the meeting go last week with John? With John Welker?
Meeting? What meeting?
Last week, did he not cover? He was supposed to cover the meeting last week.
Oh, I was out of the country.
Oh, you were? Okay. Jonathan?
Yeah. Yeah, I was there. I don't think anybody else connected.
Oh, great.
I was there and I gave an update, so I was waiting for feedback to my blog, and he cut the meeting short and then said we should use the rest of the time to write.
Okay.
But I think some other people are connected, but nobody else said anything. I don't really know what was going on there.
All right. And so where are you at, Jonathan, with yours?
I'm essentially waiting for feedback, which I
From
haven't gotten any. But
from everybody, or?
yeah, I fired off to everybody on the list, I believe.
Really?
And Eric Omar, you. But I mean, otherwise, without the, so I was trying to get as many research articles on.
Oh, there it is on the
Yeah,
8th, firing off blog post 1.
But otherwise, I could post it as is. I was just hoping to get.
Yeah, we've got to go through the review. Okay, so I somehow missed that. Looks like I did highlight it, but it slipped through. Let me take a look here. Okay, that won't take.
Omar got back to me, I should say.
Okay. All right. We are what we pretend to be. Kurt Vonnegut from Mother Night. Firefighter, priest, baker, car salesman, lumberjack, grandmother, and criminal. What came to mind as you read those words? What do you have in common? Okay, I will get back to you right after the meeting with this. I'll power through it and get right back to you.
Nice.
And
I could have it out this week with your revisions, unless you want me to keep sending it.
no, let's go ahead. If Omar and I both did it, let's get that done. Again, I want to improve this process, but I want to also get our content out. So, so I'll get that back to you right after the meeting. You know, once we stop the meeting, I'll read it and send you back my comments. Okay, and let's see. Jonathan, did you get to listen to the PAX Unplugged audio?
I did, but I can't really add any insights. I'm not really sure what the
trigger
was.
What the trigger was? Yeah, I'm stumped. I mean, I did hear her say that once somebody offends her, she never forgives them. She made those statements, but yeah, I was. So now you can understand why I was blindsided by this, right?
Yeah, I wonder if
They said it was the got root analogy, that it was an inappropriate time to make it a teaching moment. They said they found that totally offensive.
I will have to re-listen with some people, with your permission.
Please, yes, please.
I'm much better than I am at reading context. You know, I have a limited perspective, like
Sure.
like anyone. So
Yeah. I'd
maybe
appreciate
get an
that.
idea of where that came from. I mean, obviously, as you indicated. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Obviously, as you indicated last week, you know, your intentions were well intentioned.
Yep.
And willing to own up to miscommunication or a mistake, but yeah, I don't entirely understand it, but
Yeah, and I need to understand it to be able to modify accordingly, other than just never say anything, right? I still got to be out in the public eye and
yeah.
and
You're trying to improve, so
right, exactly. But if I don't really understand where the threshold is, that's problematic. And I listened through that, and again, I couldn't see her body language during it because I was far enough down the panel. I couldn't see over where she was to see when the upset happened. But they indicated that they had to spend the whole rest of that evening talking her down because she was so furious and livid. And then they did a whole interview with her after, where she basically was able to kind of vent without being specific to me, but vent her emotion. And so it was a big trigger, and I was told that I was being too professorial, if you will, and not, they want to hear amusing anecdotes more than facts and figures. Well, I was giving an amusing anecdote, right? It was an example of how your personal reference, can be completely different with the Got Root shirt, where for me and everybody in the Northern Hemisphere, it meant systems administrator or, of a system. But in Australia, it meant, either male anatomy or sex. That's cultural context. And I thought that was an excellent example of what we were talking about, of don't automatically judge based on what somebody's wearing. There may be a complete misunderstanding. Now, if you talk to them and they say, well, yeah, it's because I want to, get laid or whatever. Okay, now you've got that it is the right context. Now, go ahead and handle that accordingly. But apparently they said it was not the right time to use that as a teaching moment. And again, I was trying to be less facts and figures with that one. So like, I need to figure this out. At this point, I'm probably just going to stick with my professional conferences and let others deal with the fandom conferences until we have a different spokesperson for the fandom conferences, and I'll keep doing the professional circuit because I'm not getting it. I just, even going back through listening to it, I just don't understand. So, and I don't want to keep stepping in landmines if that's going to be an issue. If they really want to invite me, which I doubt is going to happen, but if they really want to invite me, of course I wouldn't say no. But I'm not going to go out of my way to put myself in that situation to have a better understanding of it. If I've got somebody who wants to guide me through that better, then that would be great. But I'm flabbergasted. I'm stumped. I thought I understood when he described it, and then I went back and listened to the audio and went, no, I'm not getting it. And so I've had about half a dozen people listen to it so far, and I'm trying to find somebody who can point out to me exactly where it is, what were the key words, or the way I said it, or the timing. Is there anything there that can let me know this is where you cross the line? This is where it makes sense that you shouldn't have said anything or should have phrased it differently. And if I can just find out those data points, then that's useful data. That I can do something with it. At this point, all I've got is, well, I don't know what to say. I can't say anything, is what it feels like, and that's not productive. So yeah, please do as many people as you need to. It's I have, it's public on the website. I'm not spamming it aloud to everybody, since it is apparently a sensitive issue, but it's there to be public, and feel free to get as much feedback as you can to see if we can get something useful out of it.
Yeah, I think some of it, I'm probably missing some context, so someone who has a different experience and perspective and makeup. Probably. Yeah,
exactly.
And you're right, not being able to see people makes it a little bit different.
Right, well, and they did record it, but this is the one panel that they have not posted. So what happened was, Friday I was on the panel, went really well, and I got invited to dinners and interviews and everything, and they did an interview with Meering. Saturday I did this panel. I got disinvited from going to dinner with them, and they have not posted any of the interviews. They did not post that panel or the interview they did with me. It looks like they're not going to. They're that upset. And I'm just like, wow. And they compared it to the wolf shirt fiasco of PAX. Something, does that make sense?
I don't know what that is.
It is... Oh, what was it? He pointed me to it. the Dick Wolves. I didn't know anything about this, but apparently this was some situation that happened at PAX some years ago. Okay, in August 2010, Penny Arcade posted a comic strip involving a character who said he was... okay, we try to keep this family friendly. I'm going to mute the audio while I read this aloud. Sorry. Jokes isn't funny, which led to a follow-up strip where the creators sarcastically told people not to let the strip turn them into rapists, while the prior one was in questionable taste. The strip actually did propagate rape culture by deliberately misinterpreting why people might take issue. 2 months later, Penny Arcade decided to sell Penny Arcade Dick Wolves t-shirts and pennants in the style of a sports team. There were more complaints about this. Courtney Stanton was one of those who objected and started to offer Dick Wolf Survivors Guild t-shirts of her own. She was later invited and declined to speak at PAX East, a convention run by Penny Arcade folks. So Dr. B pointed this particular scenario out as a parallel to what happened to my being on the panel. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, definitely one is much more extreme than the other, it would seem like.
I'm just not even... I am completely not connecting with how that's correlated. So, yeah. So if any insights you can get from others who might be able to give some useful feedback would be greatly appreciated, because I'm flabbergasted. All right. So, onward and forward. So I've been planning, to do an additional researchers meeting, and it's not required for you to attend both. You're always, of course, welcome to if you want, but for those who can't make the Tuesday meetings because Tuesdays interfere with their work schedule, school schedule, to do one on Sundays a couple hours later in the day, so something like 11 to 2 or something like that. And I'm thinking about starting that this coming Sunday. Is that an easier, better, worse time for either of you? Day and time.
What was the time?
Sunday, anywhere from this time, so right now we're doing Tuesdays 9 to 12. And we could do anywhere between 9 to 3 or 4 p.m. on Sunday. I haven't locked in the time, but it'd be on a Sunday instead.
A Sunday would work a lot better for me, because I actually meet in between classes, as you know. So.
Yes. What would be a better time for you? Is for me, I'm not a morning person, so 9 a.m. is always a little rough for me.
Yeah, I agree. I'm in that camp.
So if we did about, my comfort zones were 11 to 2. Omar, what about you? Is this day and time the best one for you, or would that be a better day and time for you?
So Sunday's a weekday here. So
that's a Monday for you?
Yes.
So it doesn't matter?
11 to 2 for you would be 12 till 3 o'clock in the morning for me.
Oh, it's that late for you. Okay, so that's why we have the Tuesday 9 a.m. for you, so that you're not... Yeah. So we'll want to keep doing the Tuesday ones for you. Correct?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. And then the Sunday one, so, because what I expect to have happen, this is why I have Mondays and Thursdays for training for other people, is some people can make Mondays, some people can make Thursdays, and some people can make Saturdays. Well, in this case, some people will be able to make Tuesdays, and some people will be able to make Sundays. And because as we're growing, because we've got 7 researchers now, not all are fully onboarded and active, but we've got 7 people who are wanting to do the research thing. And, as that gets stabilized and keeps growing, because I've got another 3 or 4 applicants, it might actually be better to have the smaller, I want everybody to be connected and talking to each other, and that's what I hope as the intranet grows in use, that we'll be able to address that. But I also need to address everybody's different work schedules, and part of the reason why half of the researchers aren't attending these meetings is because their school and work schedule, they just can't do Tuesdays in the morning. So I'm hoping the Sunday thing will fix that. But so I'm trying to figure out, Jonathan, your preference would be for the Sunday one then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can make it work, but yeah.
Okay. And again, you're welcome to do both if you wish, just to check in, like, quickly for the blog posting and then go. But,
Right.
let's see. Yes to Sunday. I just don't want to do Sunday and have nobody there. Even if it's just one person. One person's enough to call it a meeting. If it's just me, it's not a meeting. Unless it's me, myself, and I. So, okay, because I'm going to start that this Sunday. And so let's, if you don't, is that enough notice for you to plan on doing that 11 to 2?
Yeah.
Great. And, if we need to cut it short because we cover everything we need, then we will, and we just work on getting our work done. All right. So you're wrapping up your blog posting here. Do you have yet, and it may be too early, and that's okay, do you have anything percolating yet for what you think for your 6-month research essay? Or is it too early yet, do you think, in the stage for this?
Definitely something. The trouble is, well, I'm in between probably looking at the social skills development.
Okay, so give it another month or two as you percolate.
More research in
Yeah,
that direction.
That's what I figured. Okay.
Very, very, actually, basically nothing on true therapeutic.
Yeah.
I will when I have the PhD, I will be happy to run a randomized control trial.
Woohoo!
But it's a few years out, so.
Right. No, that's why it's got to be. That's why most of these essays are going to be detailed literature review or meta-analysis or something like that. If we get into questionnaires and stuff, then we have to get an IRB waiver. But if we're just doing meta-analysis and literature review, we're pretty safe there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have a pretty good relationship with, especially for survey work, because it's his expertise. I mean, I can't guarantee anything, but I have a pretty good relationship with several researchers, so
good,
who just are happy to be part of something. So if
wonderful.
We get IRB,
yep.
Just whatever the project is.
Right, and the IRBs are going to hinge on our fundraising, and that's why I'm really trying to push that. Did you guys notice how there's a forum discussion on our intranet discussing our Patreon overhaul, and I've posted a bunch of different reward tiers and slimmed down our goals. I used to have goals all the way up to 20,000 a month, and those could still come back, but I've listed only 5 or 6 goals, which are just alternate back and forth between covering community program costs and then covering research costs for IRB. And it's not even covering research beyond IRB, it's just the IRB costs. But if you take a look at those forum discussions, I'd appreciate your guys' feedback on that. IRB waiver here in Washington State, I can get for between $2,500 to about $3,000. If it's not sponsored through a university, which I've got a couple that have been sponsored through universities. That's always the cheaper option, but you can't count on that. So if we can get the funds to cover it through the independent IRBs, that you pay, that is a more guaranteed approach. And then a full IRB oversight can be around $8,000 to $10,000 for the oversight. For a smaller research project, obviously it's a lot more for big ones, but for our scope. And so the Patreon reflects that in our goals. If we get up to, I think it's $500 a month, then after we've sustained that for a while, we'll be able to save up enough for an IRB waiver so that we have the document for one of our research projects to have that. And then if we get to $2,000 a month, then we've got enough for either a couple of IRB waivers a year or one big IRB oversight, either way, whichever we decide to go with. So that will, and again, it's I hope to do far more than just that. That's only $24,000 a year. If we're actually able to put out that kind of research for just $24,000 a year, that's really frugal, compared to a lot that's out there.
Right. And what exactly would funds be allocated for?
That's just cover IRB costs. We'd still be doing all of our work as volunteers. So when I've done questionnaires and some of the other controlled studies and such without reimbursement for people. I've been able to do it all without financial cost. The only cost has been IRB. Right? It's all manpower. It's all manpower intensive. Our volunteers, our researchers put in all the man hours, and the only cost I couldn't cover was the IRB waiver or the IRB oversight.
Yeah. So one of the things, what it would require, and this is probably one of the maybe potential issues. You did say you had a contact that you worked with at
I have multiple at multiple universities.
Yeah. And so what is your, why don't you, just to put it plainly, why don't you have them as principal investigators?
Well, that's what I've done for the others. So
because that's free.
Right, it's free if you can get somebody who's willing to do that. Mm-hmm. Right, that they're interested enough in having their name associated with it. So the biggest challenge, it took me 10 years to find 2 people. Mm-hmm. Because everybody I went to, they had their own particular foci, and I was warned about this early on when I first was taking some of the courses at EWU. Went to the head of the psych department there about what I was thinking of back in 2004, and he warned me that it's a highly political thing, and that if I tried to do it through the university directly, because of the way the system works, that by the time it came out the meat grinder on the other end, the study would be completely different than what I was trying to study. And I gave him a few examples, and he's like, yeah, the folks here, it would come out very different. You would not be getting the data that you were trying to get. What you need to do is if you can find somebody to do it independently. Well, it took me about 8 to 10 years to find 2 people. I approached a lot of different people, and a lot of them seriously considered it, but sure enough, as soon as we started to sit down and go through it, they really wanted to change the scope of the research to fit, more directly what their interest was, rather than what we were trying to find out, because they really didn't get it. They didn't really understand. They were intrigued, but by the time we started going through the process, it was completely changing and was not going to get anywhere near the data that I was hoping to get. And ran into that repeatedly. So I can keep doing that. It's a long, difficult process to find people who will do that. Also, I have run into, they don't want to do open journals. They want to get into the more prestigious closed journals. Well, if we do that, then we can't share our research openly the same way. I mean, we can do rewrites and such, but remember, we're trying to keep this, if we can do it to open journals or semi-open journals where it becomes open, or else we're going to have to self-release because we want this information to remain free, right? That's one of our criteria. Right. And quite a few were adamantly against using open journals, just adamant about it. So it's not impossible. I can find them here and there. As I said, I found one. I have the one through Washington. Actually, I have 2 people through East Washington University. I've only utilized one, but the other one, the director of TR department, I know would help. And then at Washington State University, Phyllis, but she's more resistant. She's like, all right, fine, if you have to do an open journal, but I'd really rather you tried some of the other journals. Well, some of the other journals she's suggesting you have to submit for a year for review, and you can't submit anywhere else. That's standard. But they can take up to a year to get back to you whether they even accept your submission or not, and then you start the process all over again if they reject you.
It's kind of surprising. It does depend a lot on personality, I think.
Yes.
Probably on status of tenure, but most people get tenure within 5 years, and so I have at least 2 professors from different universities who have said yeah, I'll sign on to any project.
Great. I'm at the bachelor's level. Nobody knows me.
Yeah. Well, even in bachelor's, and so I think maybe it was a luck thing, but
Yeah. Well, it's politics.
A publication is a publication. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could get tree science. Whatever.
Right. Well, so for example, Phyllis says that based on her she's getting a little bit of grief from WSU about not being in bigger journals. So she's getting leaned on by deans and stuff to produce more, and so she wants to see that. So this. What's that?
Could be university pressures, like you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah, and so again, they're out there, and if we can find enough of them, then great. I'm perfectly happy to do that, but we can't count on that, right? It's
yeah, that's a good point.
Right, and what I can count on, I can say this is a fixed number. You know, it changes from year to year, but basically this 2,500 to 3,000. There's three in Washington State alone. There's three commercial IRBs. They're all the same people that are at the universities. You know what they are is they're all the people on IRBs at other universities who now get paid by these private companies. It's the same process, and they're recognized by everybody else. It's all cross. I forget what the term was, but they all recognize each other as just as valid. And it's a flat rate, right? I mean, it's like, this is how much it will be for this, you know, to a certain amount. There's a range, it's predictable, and it's something we can go through and quantify. The relying on friendships and networking and such thing, we don't have a whole lot of control over. And again, we'll use them as much as we can. I mean, we're all volunteers. We're doing the best we can, doing for as free as possible. So I'm not saying no to that at all. And we'll do as many of those as we can do. But as listing goals, so part of the thing is just getting people to understand, why do we need money through Patreon? Well, part of it's just our operations, right? Right now, everything's running out either at a virtual office downtown or out of my house here. And, you know, I'm spending a lot of money every month. And we want to get RPG research to be, you know, self-sufficient in the context of a nonprofit self-sufficiency. And those are the numbers we need. So if we can get to about $1,500 a month, about $1,000, $1,500 a month, we can afford to move into a small office / warehouse where we can store the bus, the trailer, move the studio there. My power bill for this last month, because of how cold it's been, heating the garage, my power bill was nearly $800 for the month. So, and I'm getting married in July, and I need to free up the garage. I can't keep running. You know, I have a dozen people showing up at my house 5 times a week. My fiance has made that clear. That's not something she's really excited about. So I can keep maintaining this. We're not going to move in together right away. We have 2 houses, and we're both, you know, older adults. It'll be a while before we fully move in. So we've got time, but it would be ideal to have RPG Research have its own facility, you know, and move the studio to there and all of that. And so we're trying to just get to where we can cover those operating costs. And that's about what it would take, you know, and $24,000 a month for an international community and research operation doesn't seem like that much, does it?
Comparatively, no.
Yeah. Whether or not we get there, we don't know. I mean, I'll adapt to whatever the circumstances are. These are goals. They're certainly not guarantees. But anyway, we've been working on that. So take a look at that in the forum section. When you go into the intranet, it's the left-hand corner, forum, Patreon discussion. Check out the different tiers. Look at it personally. What would motivate you to be interested to be a donor? And what do you think would motivate others? And what do you think we need to do to elaborate on the goals? Now, I have usually done very lengthy explanations about all the details, but I'm getting a lot of pushback from people saying, no, it needs to be super simple. It needs to be one sentence, not technical. People need to be emotionally grabbed about why they should, you know, donate. I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to need help. So they're stripped down kind of to the bare bones right now, waiting for input from everybody to see how we can optimize that. So please do take a look when you get a chance. Omar.
Yes.
Do you have anything percolating in your head about your 6-month research essay, or is it still too early for you as well?
No, I have a couple of ideas. I just need to explore how much research is done about them.
Okay.
So
well, let's get your... once we finish this blog posting, you know, obviously we want to start looking at your next blog posting, but let's also then... So once you finish this blog posting, let's start looking at that to help you. I can tell you very quickly if there's, you know, much research on the topic or not, or I could say I don't know, but Usually I can at least give you a general sense of if there's where to look and if there's very much or not.
Okay, I was looking at recreation activities in jail. That seemed like a very interesting topic.
The what?
I didn't find that much research on
What was it?
prisons and the introduction of recreation activities, specifically in the West.
I'm not understanding what you said at first.
Oh, sorry. Prisons and the introduction of recreation activities, like
Okay, yeah, prisons and recreation, yes, yeah. There isn't a ton of research. There's a ton of
articles.
There's a lot of reactivity. Yeah, there's a lot of emotion about it. There isn't a lot of research. Now, here's one person you can look for regarding recreation activities in general. So, one of our board members, Professor Emily Messina, she did her dissertation on recreation therapy in prisons when she was in Florida. So if you look up Emily Messina, prisons, recreation, that will be a good starting point. And then she has a bunch of references in there that you can look at as well.
Is she Hudson University?
She's at Eastern Washington University. But she was at Florida at the time. So she did her doctoral...
Emily Messinas.
What's that?
There's just a couple of Emily Messinas.
Okay, yeah. So, and it's Emily and then Messina. And she's originally from Florida, but she's now at Eastern Washington University. She's the head of the therapeutic recreation department.
Okay.
But it's a dissertation on recreation in the prison population.
Okay, but do you think that's enough to base a whole essay around?
No, but she has references in there that she references.
Okay, see, I would usually do this just fine on my own with, like, doing the research myself, but obviously I don't have access to data in, like, America or something, so it would be very difficult.
Well, first try a general web search under those terms. See what you can find publicly. If you need it, if it's behind a paywall, let me know. I have multiple university access, so I can help get you access as needed. You know, so if you can find the abstracts or the specific DOI or other listings that you need. So if you can find her paper or her abstract, because I've been meaning to do this myself and pull up her paper because I need to do. We all need to research this topic because this is our research topic of the. This is our community program of the year, which is also research, which is role playing games in prisons. So anything any of us can find on that will be helpful. But that's where I was going to start, was with Professor Messina. I was going to get her dissertation, and then any of the references she made, I was going to go dig all of those up. If you don't have a university database access through your school?
I have a physical access, not digital, no.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting.
It's only because I'm still working with my research supervisor technically that they gave me physical access.
Oh, you don't get to keep that even after?
No, apparently I only get for the first year, but I've technically been out of school for a year and a half now.
Interesting. Okay, so it sounds like you're going to need me to help you with that. So let me do Hawk, find Messina and related papers for Omar. All right, I'll put that on my to-do here for you. Great. And what I can do is I'll grab everything I can find and then forward those to you, and then you can start to parse those through. How's that sound?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, cool. All right, I will work on that as soon as possible. Let's see. One thing I was thinking about, because I'm been falling behind on the other things, and I've been trying to find ways to get some content out to get visibility back up that doesn't. So like last week I spent a bunch of time working on protocols and stuff, and I'll talk with you guys about those in a little bit. But one of the things that occurred to me is as I was doing that, I've been working on the Datillo book and working on this research project and working on these protocols. I was digging up and digging through a lot of my own research, right? Because that's been one of the best resources on this topic. And I have here, I lost the previous one. I had to reprint it. You guys can't see this probably, but I've got a big brown leather folder with the collected works, if you will, of my research on these topics. And some are very basic, just program plans, and some are a little bit more essays, and then, I've been working on more formal research studies. And so I've got this folder, 8x10 folder, it's packed, which goes up to about 2016. I don't have the last couple of years of stuff. That I go around when I'm speaking at conferences and panels. I lay this out on the table and people flip through it, and it's a tangible. All of this is on our website, freely available. But some people like the tangible, physical thing. And one of the things I was thinking of, and I want to run what you guys think of, combining your guys' course as well. And I think basically it would start to become a semi-regular thing where every few years, as we aggregate, as you guys crank out more, that we self-publish. So, like, for example, there's the collected works of Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. It's a 2-volume set. And it's just basically all the essays he's written since the 1960s, up to about 2009 or whatever, what the last one was he did. And I found that extremely useful whenever I'm researching a topic on, that he has covered. It's been really handy to I have the books right there. So I was thinking, because I have the publication company, RPG Publishers, DBA, so I have all the means to publish books if we need to, about putting together a collected works of RPG research. Now, obviously, this can only be the content that we create. We don't want to, republish other people's stuff without permission and getting permission. We've got it online. That's good enough for that. But all the stuff that we've created, putting that into a single referencing book. And it doesn't have to be any one theme. It's just everything that's available. For example, when I was at Worldcon, it had been 10 years of research, and I had a big research poster kind of summarizing 10 years of research. Now we're at 15 years of research, and all these different essays, and some are better than others, but be that as it may. What do you guys think of that idea of releasing? Because I can do it pretty quickly. I grab all the files, add in your guys' pieces that you would like to have, and we could have something published, within a month or 3.
I like it. I use the Oxford Handbook things a lot. They're basically just a collection of one topic under one book.
Right.
So they're usually extremely useful.
Right.
So I like it.
Okay. John?
Yeah, I like that idea. How difficult is it to publish something like that?
Yeah, so I've been in the publishing industry on and off for decades. I was CTO for Mighty Words, which was later bought out by Barnes & Noble, and so I'm pretty, familiar. So I have all the connections to get us an ISBN, copyright protection, and get printed. And I would do it at the professional grade. It would be 8x10 hardbound, limited print runs. So like a print run of 25 books is like, I think, $500 to $700. I forget the exact numbers, but and then after that do pre-orders and such, or even potentially do pre-orders to do additional print runs. And eventually we'd offer it as a straight PDF as well if people didn't want it in a hard copy. But having it on the shelf there has some value for researchers, I think. I know it helps me. So I can, once we have a ready actually even before we have a ready document, I can reserve an ISBN. So between the copyright registration and the ISBN, I think it's about $200, $200 to $300 to do all that. Reserve an ISBN and reserve the copyright. And then we've got 6 months from when I pull that trigger to get a manuscript to the Copyright Office to for protection. Then the ISBN is automatically reported. It takes about a month or so for the ISBN to propagate through all the databases, and then start showing up at Amazon and elsewhere for things like pre-order and such. But doing it this way, we definitely want to go through and make sure that clean up any of the editing. But I don't have to write a whole bunch. We just got to compile and organize, and then clean up any typos, and then print. And it would be a lot less work than the other stuff I'm doing currently, where I'm having to write a lot of stuff from scratch. But we'd get something out there, kind of showing people the snapshot of all the stuff that's been done. And obviously, at first, it would be me, and it's not about that, but that's just the way it is. But as you guys crank out more content, My hope is that the first edition would have at least all of your first blog postings in there, right? Even though they're less formal, at least it's showing others are starting to come on board. And then in a year or two, we would have a lot more content. We would have your essays and any other research that you want to put in there that's related. Then it'll show a lot more diversity of authorship, which is which was my preference. I've done this because there was no other choice because nobody else was at the time. Now it's getting more diverse, and I'm very excited about that. So it's something, I already have a folder that has all of my works collected. So I would just add you guys to it and then put that together into a single large document that we go through and, quickly clean up, put a nice table of contents, then create an index, which is a little bit of a tedious process, but an index is critical for research. A research book without an index just is ridiculous, I think. And then once that's done, then we'd submit it for the printing. And I would cover the cost personally on that to make sure it doesn't come out of RPG research funds, but we would use it as a fundraiser for RPG research.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. And it's something to put out there and point to.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that you're just talking about things.
Exactly.
Which are, things being posted online isn't quite the same.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same cachet. Okay, so is this something you guys would want to be helping with going through that process with?
Definitely, I think so. I think
Okay,
awesome.
Good. All right. All the more reason to get those blog postings done. I'll start the process. It'll take a little bit. As I said, it takes about 1 to 3 months for the process to kind of get rolling, but I'll start that process. I think it'll really benefit us, and I think it'll bring on even more serious researchers as well, and I think it'll help in a lot of ways. And we'll point out, we'll have a foreword, and you're welcome to have forewords on your works that say, hey, we know this is casual. We know this isn't, if it's not a heavily empirical piece, or like we're still in the early phases we're in a growth phase at RPG research. We went from a kind of a prototyped proof of concept to now we're expanding as a community, and we're trying to get these things worked out through this process. But we wanted people to get a good, handy reference volume of what we have, because we know sometimes people struggle with using the website and like to have a physical, tangible book at their fingertips. Or you can have a single PDF later that's, full text searchable as well. But and I'm once we've gotten at least the first print run covered and such, I don't have a problem with putting the PDF up for free on our website, because again, we want this information to be free, as long as there's a physical book out there that because there will be people who, even when you offer a PDF, they're still going to want to buy the book instead. And the book price point for the hardcover is retails about $50, $50 to $75. If you do a larger batch, you can get that down to around $30, $35. And that's pretty standard for these types of books. And for school books, of course, they're insanely expensive. So.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty standard in my experience.
Yep.
50.
Yep. Yeah, and I already.
In my experience.
Yeah, no, the school books are like $100, $200, $300 are crazy, but that's because of printers like Routledge and such. They're artificially inflating the industry. So, okay, well, good. I will start that process then. I thought you guys might be interested, but I wanted to always make sure on that. Let's see here. Did you guys notice, as I was going through and organizing my stuff for the protocols, I updated a couple of my papers that are still in draft version, and then one's a little further along. Did you guys see any of those that I posted over the last 2 weeks while I was heads down doing stuff?
I did not see that.
Okay.
No, neither did I.
So if you go to rpgresearch.com, and boy, I don't know why the server, it's not one thing, it's another. I think GoDaddy's having issues again, and that is not good. gonna have to call GoDaddy. Gosh darn it. That server's getting too slow. And I think it's on their end. Alright. Maybe I didn't blog about it. Maybe I only just posted it in the research section. Let me see here. Protocols. Okay, I guess I didn't. Or maybe I did it. Did I do it on the... Maybe I did it on the intranet. Yeah. Go to my... So I swear I put up some links. Vision, goals, nominate. Oh, before we do that, did you guys see my post about nominating RPG Research as a charity for STCU and CREM 2? All you got to do is go to the website and put in your email address and put RPG Research as the charity, and you can vote each day. And if we get that, we can get like $2,000 donated if we win. I will post that in Discord in the Volunteers General. Let's see. I'll do the direct link instead of the indirect link. Come on. Close. Only got a few days left. Where's the... Why isn't it linking? Okay, I think that's it. There it is. Oh, maybe this is my connection. I reset everything. Oh, good. Yep, we can vote every day. So, right here in Volunteers General, just go to that link. Just go ahead and do it right now if you guys don't mind. Just quickly do your email. Don't use your RPG Research email though, because they don't want it all coming from the same organization. And then your nomination, just put in RPG space research, and then enter, and that's it. And if you just keep doing that every day between now and the 24th, that helps improve our numbers. And we can win anywhere from 20. I think for this one we can win up to 25. Oh no, first place is $5,000. Second place is $2,500, and third is $1,000 that the bank and the news station will donate to the winners. So that would help a lot. a lot. And you can do that each day between now and the 24th, and if you would please, that would really help a lot.
Yep, I'll send a reminder.
Wonderful. And Omar, you can do it too. It's okay to be out of the country for it.
Yeah, I just did it. I can do it daily as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Back to topics here. Research staff. All right. Okay, so I was going to pull up the content I've been writing. I've been so busy. Okay, it wasn't blog. Man, I've been busy. Okay, there says bleed one. Oh, maybe I didn't say anything to the public. It just happened in my head. Okay, let's see where I put those files, because I know I put them somewhere.
I've done that.
What's that?
I went to a meeting with my chair and for my dissertation committee and said, well, good news, I have a second for the committee. And she said, am I your chair? Are you asking me to be your chair? And I thought, oh, I thought I already asked you that. Because we had a couple skip meetings due to weather, and so I just filled in the gaps, I guess.
Yeah. Human memory is a dangerous thing, that is for sure. All right, archives. Pretty sure I put it under public, because these are public drafts. I've got them up on academia.edu for comments, but I'm pretty sure I put it. Okay, yeah. So there's RPG theories and original research. Let's see. Okay, so theory section. Nope, I didn't put anything in there. Where did I put these? Okay. Okay. Now I see. Starting to make sense of it again. Keep having to switch so many gears from different modes of operating. Protocols, at-risk populations, model. Come on, load already. There's a site, so I'm on the rpgresearch.com website going into the research archives. Is it being slow for you guys as well? Or is it just my connection?
Yeah, it's definitely slow.
Okay. I'm going to have to talk to GoDaddy because that is misbehaving. All right. So I want to make sure, because this is still an evolving thing, and want you guys, and knowing that it's far from properly formatted, but I'm trying to get the concepts to just start coming. So I'm posting in the research staff channel. You guys should have access to that. I see Omar listed. Did I not add? So this is, why is Jonathan not? You're on the researcher team, so you should be showing up. Can you, in Discord, John, because I see Omar's there. Omar, do you see that link under research staff channel? And John, if you want to connect to Discord and go to the research staff channel. I'll be posting the links there.
It's definitely full for me too.
What's that?
It's definitely slow for me.
Yeah, I gotta call GoDaddy to see what the heck's going on with that server. I think I have to move everything back to my house with the beefy server and stuff, because this is GoDaddy just keeps, as soon as we start to get to a critical mass, it starts to just choke out every time. It's so frustrating. So, Omar, can you see that link yet?
Yes, I clicked on it.
Okay. Now, again, it's an older draft. I have more complete stuff, but I want to keep you guys in the loop as best I can on that. Not quite ready for changing it. I'm just, when you hear me talking about things, it hopefully will help you have that reference piece. And then as I get it more organized, then I would appreciate saying, hey, you need to change this, and this doesn't make sense over here and over there. But for the moment, don't worry about that, because it's not far enough along. It's way too much of a rough draft of ideas. And again, my local version is more up to date than what's there, but I will try to update it. But follow that thread. I update that page periodically. I put in new images and comments as I have time to make progress. So bookmark or follow, notify. Down the bottom, you can say notify. You can make a comment and then say notify me of new comments via email. If you do that, you'll get notified. Or, yeah, I think that's the best way to do that. Because that's an evolving thing. And I'd like, if it's at all possible, because I did the first version of this back in 2004, and then it's, undergone a lot since then. Would love to try to have this wrapped up in time for the collected works. I think that would be a really good one to start referencing. So definitely eyeball that. Let's see. Okay, then the other two, I did a short summary piece and a longer piece, and these are both rough drafts about using role-playing games with at-risk populations. And these are open for your feedback, please. They are in request for comments mode now. So let me post the link to that folder. It has 2 PDFs in there. If you want to grab those PDFs and at your leisure, read through, and if you want to comment, feel free. So one is just a very basic summary. It was for blog posting, basically, and then the other one is a little bit more in depth. I still have to put in all my citations and such. But it's because I've had a lot of people asking, what do I need to do to run a role-playing game for at-risk populations? And these are the things we've learned over the decades of caveats and things to watch out for, and then whatever research I can reference to tie in to, show that, to explain why we've seen these things. Like, well, we've observed these behaviors, but why? What theory explains why we see these observations? These are not controlled studies, but these are things, from experience out in the field, and talking to others too in the field. That when we run a program, this is how you can avoid having the programs blow up in your face. Because with that population, it is a concern.
Right. Well, I have to head out, so if there's anything...
Okay. Yeah, well, definitely check those over, and then the other one... Oh, I'm sorry I have to head out, because I wanted to cover the TTM. Did you see that one at all? Trans-theoretical model of the stages of change model related to therapeutic recreation and role-playing games.
So I know what that is, but I haven't seen that post.
Okay. Let me get that link to you. It'll be there. If you need to split, go ahead. I'm going to post it in that channel, and you can read it. It's a longer piece. I originally wrote it back in 2014. I haven't really done any new research to it. I've just been cleaning it up and making it more readable, and cleaning it up and making it more readable, and cleaning it up and making it more readable each time. Okay, here it is, February 16th. So there is the link. And so I would definitely appreciate your feedback and insights and criticisms and what have you on that. I wrote it 5 years ago, and I look back at it and go, I don't really remember writing this. Like, I vaguely do, but I don't. It's not something I've waded into repeatedly. But it came up as I was working on the protocols and the Datillo book, because they want me to reference as many other theories as possible. So check that out when you get a chance and feedback away. You can either do it through posting comments right there on the website, or whatever method you prefer to give feedback. I'd like to improve it. The TTM is fairly, it's welcoming of comments, but it's basically a done draft. The others are very rough drafts, but please just comment away. And I hope you guys find that useful. So I'll let you go ahead and go then, John, since you got your thing. Will I see you this Sunday, or talk to you this Sunday then?
Yes, absolutely.
So I'll be 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. my time. So are you Central or Eastern time?
I'm Eastern.
You're Eastern. Okay, so that would be...
I think that's
2 p.m. to 5 p.m. your time. Let's see, 11 to 12, 12 to 1. No, 1 to 4 your time.
Yeah.
Great. And then I'll try to see if I can get Angela and the others to make it for that, since they have been able to do the weekdays.
Yeah, sounds awesome. It's good to have a weekend meeting and have a little more time.
Good. All right. Well, I look forward to talking to you then. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, you too. Talk to you guys later.
See you. Okay, Omar, are you familiar with any of these theories?
The ones you just posted?
Yeah. Well, the trans-theoretical model, for example, the stages of change model theory.
Is that the last one you posted?
Yes.
Just check. The first one, I haven't seen it this updated, but we have seen it a while ago, so I did read it when you posted it last time.
The RPG model?
Yes.
Okay, you had not looked at it before?
No, I had. It just wasn't as updated.
Okay, yeah, and it already needs to be updated again, but it is looks like I updated it 20 days ago, and my local copies already have more up to date, but still it's still useful at this point for what I'm referencing when I reference what's related to what. I hope you find it useful.
Actually, the theoretical model one,
RPG model?
Theoretical model of change.
Oh, yeah?
I came across it before by accident and did not know it was by you.
Oh, yeah.
While doing something for the blog post.
Oh, okay. You didn't know it was me? You didn't say that right on it?
I read like halfway through and I was like, oh, this sounds like an RPG researcher. Who's this? And I was like, hey. Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, this is, so I just updated this 3 days ago, made it a much more readable format with a table of contents, and I fixed a few typos and a few phrase changes here and there, and just tried to make it better. And it's more readable. So I was going to go ahead and read through that, but with just the two of us, I don't know, let's see. And if you've already read it, I don't know if that, I mean, if we wanted to go, because what I like to do is go through it, and then you can ask questions, and we can fill in the blanks. I guess we could maybe focus more on one of the rough drafts instead then, since you haven't. So let's start with the brief summary one. So there's the two at-risk files.
Okay.
And I'm trying to figure out which one.
Both of them?
Yeah, we'll look at both of them, but I'm trying to figure out which one. We'll start with the smaller, shorter intro one, and then go to the deeper one. Let me pull up my local copy so I can actually edit it. Where the heck? Okay, oops.
Oh yeah, I went to the RPG place here.
Yeah. How did that go?
Really, really cool. So a bunch of them had lived either in like Sweden or Denmark or America or Canada or whatever. So that's basically where they picked up Dungeons and Dragons from.
Okay.
It's not an RPG only. It's like a board game cafe.
Yeah, it's too hard for business to survive on role playing games alone.
Yeah, but they do D&D nights where they like invite people to come and explain rules.
Cool.
Yeah, the people were really nice, really friendly.
Good. And did you participate?
They were not having anything, and I tried
to
book a table, but they're actually been booked for a while.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I want to see if I can go to Dungeons and Dragons one. They're having one in March.
Okay. Wow, that's a shame you have to wait that long, but at least to get a chance.
Well, they do an event every week, and it's usually just a board game.
Okay. Well, definitely start, and that can be a very simple, casual blog, even if you just do it on the RPG. So that was something I meant to tell Jonathan about. Darn it, I forgot to cover. On the intranet, things like that, even if it's just a quick one paragraph or one sentence says, oh, by the way, I met this group here in Saudi Arabia that blah, 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 blah. Do that on the intranet as much as every time something comes up, post it. Because you never know when later that might be a great thread for a full blog posting or an essay or something later. But if you don't capture it, it gets lost.
Okay.
So do a very quick... so do you know how to do a quick blog posting on the intranet right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I also, they're called D20 Arabia. If you
want
to check them out on Twitter.
So let's do a little practice exercise. Go ahead and go to the rpgsn.net right now, and go to your folder and then your blog posting and add a new blog posting, in your own section there. And just quickly write down, a couple of short sentences that they don't have to be well written. Just capture the essence of what that is, and then save it. And then you can go back and edit that to flesh it out. But I'd like you to capture that right now, please.
Just logging in.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, they're called D20 Arabia if you want to check them out.
Yeah, I'll include the description and their link, if there is a link.
There's a Twitter. Oh no, they do have a website.
Great. So put that in your blog posting. See, stuff like this is what I want you guys to just blog all the time about on the intranet, because you don't have to worry about it being formal or anything. Just capture it and share your info so that we can share with each other.
Yeah, but that was the first time I went out of the house for not work reasons.
I understand. I just want to get everybody. I'd be telling this to everybody if everybody was here, but you're the only one here, so you get to be lucky that way.
No, I get it. I mean,
yeah.
Like, I didn't even know this existed, so I'm assuming people in the West.
Exactly. And remember, we're trying to be a repository of all this information so that people can find these things. But the first step you can do is just do it on our intranet, and then we can later on do a nicer one on the public one. But just capture it on the intranet first.
I don't even live in the capital city, so that means they must have a lot more than we do, just naturally.
Mm-hmm.
I need to ask around, but they have. We have 2 places, so I'm assuming they have a lot more.
Great. Capture that.
Well, I don't know, so we'll see. I don't really know much about the capital. I don't exactly.
No, I know, but as you find these things out, capture it in the blog.
Oh, okay.
Go back and edit the blog as you find out more info. Quickly edit either as a comment or an edit. Add that info. It's just habits I'm trying to get you guys to have, because that's how we share all this, disseminate all this information. But we have to first get in the habit of capturing these things. Otherwise, nobody knows.
So I just save it doesn't mean it's being published, right?
Right. Like if somebody went to your timeline, they would see it, but it's not being really announced to your followers. There's a way to publish it, I believe.
Yeah, I'm just trying to copy the links because I haven't seen this isn't very ridiculous exactly, so I don't want.
That's okay. It doesn't need to be. Yeah, it's just capturing it so you can add to it. Okay, did you do this on the rpgsn.net or on rpgresearch.com?
The rpgresearch.com.
Oh, okay. Oh, that is okay. That's not public. But I was actually asking you to do the more casual stuff on rpgsn.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, whatever works for you. That will make it easier for you. Feel free. Okay, well, so the way I envisioned it, and if you don't like it, stick with what the way I envisioned it was you do your really, really just capture your rough thoughts on the RPGSN first, where you don't have to worry about editing or anything. Just get it up there, and then we can give commentary in that safe bubble of the RPGSN. And then when you got it cleaned up more and you're happy with it, then you put it on rpgresearch.com, which is the public site. Now, what you just posted is not public, because remember, until you say publish, it does not become public.
Yes.
So it's perfectly okay to just do it there. And then if you want feedback, just post a link on the RPGSN saying, hey, I'd like feedback on this blog posting. Would you guys look at it? So if that's easier for you that way, that's fine too. As long as you're involving the internal community with your thought and sharing so that we're aware of what you're coming across so we can all share with each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'd rather do it the RPGSN way, but is
Great.
that in private notes?
What's that?
How do you publish it on the RPGSN?
Okay, so first of all, I need you to accept my follow request under RPGSN. I sent a request a long time ago, and you never accepted me.
How is that possible?
I don't know. I said it says pending. I see Omar, and I clicked, follow request. It says your follow request is currently pending. Once the profile owner approves your follow request, you will be notified. So you should see something that shows you that you've got requests waiting when you're in the RPGSN.
Yeah, it usually sends me an email. That's what I did for everyone else.
Well, it happened a long time ago. I was probably the first person to request it, and somehow it got missed. Maybe it did. The email didn't work at the time, and I don't see a way to clicking it again doesn't unrequest it. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't see you, but I can just go follow you myself.
Okay. I don't know if that'll. I'm showing you offline. Let's see. Oh, now I show you online. Okay. So when you go to your home folder, you don't see anything that shows.
Nope. Usually I'll see sort of like a notification type thing where they're like, this person's following you.
Yeah.
But yours never did. I did it now anyways, just manually.
Oh, okay. Yep. Okay, I see that I'm following you now. Okay, so now I see that you have a timeline, followers, forum, and guest book.
There's also something called a private notes, which I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either. Is that just private notes to yourself? That's a good question. Let's see. Private notes. You have no private notes. New note. Okay, I'm going to click new note. Recipient. Oh, it's private email.
Oh yeah, it's private messaging.
Yeah, private messaging. Okay, well that makes sense.
A weird name to call it.
That is. I think it's a European team, so there's some weird languageisms.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so right now I only see timeline, followers, forum, and guest book. Do you not see an ability to post blog posting?
I see blog.
Okay, so go ahead and click on blog.
Okay.
And then you should have a little plus symbol where you can create a blog posting.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and create that, and then just copy paste what you have from the other thing into there. Yeah, get very familiar with this, because this is where you can just think out loud as much as possible. And we're coming up pretty soon where I'm supposed to do a formal training for everybody on the RPGSN. Obviously, I'll record the video for those who can't make the actual live meeting, but for those who can make it in person, that's their chance to ask questions.
Yeah.
Can certainly ask questions after the fact, but it's better when everybody's there.
want to delete the one on the regular site because there's no point.
No, you can leave that on the regular site. That's fine.
Okay.
You can just link to it. Yeah, you just say, hey, I've got a blog posting here I'd like you to look at, and just post a link.
Okay, well.
Or either or. Yeah, because that's okay. Whatever works. I mean, and you can play with it because again, this is partly for you experimenting. Okay, there it is. D20 Saudi Arabia, D&D in Saudi Arabia. Found a new board game cafe that includes weekly D&D. They're the first of their kind in my city of Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. They provide fully instructive games to any new players and are trying to popularize Dungeons & Dragons in Saudi Arabia. See, now this is totally newsworthy. We definitely want to put, you know what, even just that simple posting that you just did, that's totally appropriate to post on RPGresearch.com website. Totally. That is the kind of news that people want to see.
So, okay. I might take off the D20 link because it's in Arabic and I don't see the funny.
No, it's okay. Remember, we are international.
Okay. It's also not done, though. It's under construction, apparently.
I'm clicking.
The link, not their Twitter. The Twitter is active.
The D20arabia.com?
Yeah. They post a lot of, like, the people who own it seem to be most into D&D than any other board game.
Good. I mean, related
They
to...
post memes about it and just a lot of, like, rules. And
Okay, it looks like it's... It looks like it's private access. I think they're using it for their gamers' access. Because if you click on the right side, there's a little lock. I can't read Arabic, obviously, but when you click the lock, what comes up? What does that text say on the right-hand side when you click on the little lock icon? Because that's more than just...
So the middle part says under construction, and it'll be available soon.
Okay, and you click the lock.
The log is a username and password.
Okay, good. So they've got some stuff going on. It's okay, even if it's still under construction. We want to inform people as early as possible when we discover stuff.
Yeah, they could just go to the Twitter. It's pretty.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Yeah. So if you want to, whether or not you want to, so I would flesh that out just a little bit more about what you know so far, what you saw. You went there. Here's this. Here, they had a rough schedule. I couldn't get in. They're already booked out. Just a quick paragraph or two, explaining your experience, and then that's good. That's good enough for just a very quick. It doesn't count as your once per month blog posting. These are the casual ones. But any time you get content like that, please hurry and post those. And they don't have to go through a full peer review. Any one of us is good enough for a review before posting it. So and once you guys have more practice, you won't always have to do peer review for something like this. You'll be able to just post it yourself. But right now, I'm just trying to get you guys comfortable and familiar. So that's why we do the review for everything. But yeah, you could have this out in half an hour or less. So
I'm just looking at their website, and it seems this is in Arabic, but they were saying that they're interested in creating for this year a LARP community.
Nice. So write that down in the blog posting, please. This is exciting.
It's also going to be fully in Arabic.
That's okay. So state that.
Oh no, the LARP.
That's okay. State that. There are people who are going to stumble across this because we posted it. Who that's not going to be a problem.
I was just saying, I can also find out if Egypt has anything like this.
Great. That would be a separate blog posting. So just on your RPGSN, update that info you just told me. Quickly put all that in there. What you just explained, what your experience was going to the store, and then
right now.
Yeah, save it. And then once that's good, I will then update it on your. I'll give a thumbs up and down, here on the RPGSN. Then you can go ahead and just copy and paste that into the RPGresearch.com blog, and then submit that for publication. We'll make that public, and then I'll spread that all over Twitter sphere and such. That'll be People will be tickled to know about this. This is that bleeding edge stuff that we need to be at the forefront sharing with others.
I'm really happy they're doing it fully here because I think that would get an audience that
Exactly. I did the same thing with Israel when they were booming back in 04 and 05. I was helping spread the word about them. Same thing down in South America. There was a PhD guy there down in the 90s who was getting the government to pay for people to do role-playing games. Now he's gone to Japan to go try to do the same thing. And I was the only person who knew about these things, and so I talked to him, and so I said, "Do you mind if I spread the word?" And he's like, "Oh, please." You know, they're more than happy to have the word spread. So whenever we find these things, share, and share quickly before you forget. And again, it doesn't have to be well written. What matters is the information.
Oh, this makes a lot of sense for my city because even when we didn't have any events, we still had like Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments and Pokemon tournaments. So it's not like there aren't nerds here because like the League of Legends championships are coming here.
Yeah.
This like Fortnite stuff, like video games are such an integral part of that LARP and.
So I would just start writing all that down right now. Stream of consciousness, because those are perfect blog things to say that. That personal connection of like, well, here in my town, it's not like there aren't nerd things like Yu-Gi-Oh and Fortnite, you know, and video games are popular. But now, look, finally, tabletop and maybe even LARP is coming. So that's an excellent blog posting. Blog postings don't have to be hard. That's the point.
But when you're conditioned by university that
I know
everything's
right, and that's what our essays are for. And again, we have two different degrees of blog posting. We have our once per month formal blog posting, which goes through, you know, has to have 2 references and reviews, and it's a light version of research. And then our heavy essays. And then we have just a blog posting that's just quickly informational, just share quickly. And that's, in this day and age, people really want that. Now there's issues with that. So whatever you do, don't make declarations that you don't know. Always just state what you know. It's like, I know this and I don't know this. You know, it's not formal research, but, you know, just always be careful. The problem why blogs get a bad rap is because people make stuff up. As long as you don't make stuff up, you're just sharing what you know, everything's fine. And share that personal perspective. That will be gold. That will get so many eyeballs of interest if you share your personal perspective of, well, you know, it's finally nice to have this here in Saudi Arabia. Here's what we did have, and now we're finally seeing, you know, tabletop and LARP may be coming. People are going to be tickled to read that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see people's reactions because when I tell them like anime was always huge here way before it was in the West.
Write that down.
Before it was very confused.
Say that in the blog.
Yeah, I was Googling the name of the guy that's huge here. It's an anime that's really not popular in the West because it's a football or soccer anime.
Oh, okay.
It's like the biggest thing here.
Huh, interesting.
It used to be.
Cool. Well, I think you've got your blog posting ready right now. I mean, like, just write that down, capture it. I don't even want to distract you. I'd like you to just get into the flow and just start writing about this topic right now, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Okay, right away.
Wait, do you know stuff about anime?
A little bit.
Oh,
my boys.
That was like Transformers, but it wasn't. It was from the 80s.
Robotech.
Is that it?
So the first in the West, the first anime to come to the West was Harmony Gold's Star Blazers, which was the battleship. Let's see, battleship Star Blazers. I always forget the name, Yamamoto or something like that.
Okay.
So that was
Astro Boy?
What's that?
It wasn't Astro Boy?
No, as far as I know, the first one was Harmony Gold's. It was under the the westernized name of Star Blazers. Yeah, the space battleship Yamamoto. 1979. At least that was the first I saw. And they recently reissued it. I'll have to check what the real history is. But as far as I know of anime, that was my first... Everybody I've run into, their first exposure to anime was Star Blazers. And then Robotech came not too long after that. The original run of Space Battleship Yamamoto was 1974 to 75. And then, the television and then video spin-offs. So then they did 2 and 3, 2199, 22202. They did a bunch of movies. Live action film. They did a live action film of Space Battleship Yamamoto in 2010. I did not know that. There's a whole wiki thing on it. Anyway, that was my first exposure when that came to the States in the late 70s. And then Robotech was really big after that. And Robotech was where you had the fighters that transformed into Guardian mode, or, they had like 3 different modes they could change to. And so that was what I grew up with. I was born in 1970. And so that cohort experience in the West. My brother was really into Robotech. I really liked Star Blazers a lot. And they did a remake of Yamamoto that's pretty good. They pretty much follow the same story. They just modernized all the graphics and such with CGI. And it was good. It held up. The story held up. I liked it. The sequel wasn't so good, but the original series, which had a lot of episodes, I still liked it a lot. All 3 of my sons have been into anime in different degrees. My middle one, because of his girlfriend in Japan of a couple of years and everything, he really knows a lot of Japanese anime because he speaks Japanese as well. So, and he's exposed me to a fair amount of that while he was going through and learning that. He was sharing a lot with me. He's like, Dad, you got to watch this one, and you got to watch this one, and I have a number of friends who are into it. I'm not a big anime fan, but there's some I really do enjoy. So I have some awareness of it. But yeah, I don't know anything about Saudi Arabian anime and would love to know more.
So yeah, I wrote it all. So the 2 hugest ones when I was growing up was one that's huge in Japan called Case Closed.
Okay.
I think that's what it's called.
Okay.
It's, I think, the longest running anime of all time.
Really?
Yeah. In Japan,
see that?
it's like a,
so that's where you want to be careful in a blog statement. If you say the longest running anime of all time, you want to back that with a quick link to Wikipedia or something. Or you could say, I'm not sure. I think it's the longest running. Correct me if I'm wrong. Then you can say that in a blog posting. Just always, if you're not sure and you're not providing a link, just say I'm guessing. I'm not sure, and then that protects yourself, right? Then indemnifies yourself from making an absolute statement. Exactly. Yeah. And but I mean, just so you don't get bogged down trying to find references, you can just phrase it that way, saying, my memory might fail me, but here's what I think. And if you make that disclaimer, then you've got a lot more leeway with the blog that way.
Okay. So it was called Case Closed in the West. For us, it was called Detective Conan. I'm not sure why.
Interesting.
Like the Arabic word for detective.
Okay.
The biggest one I would say was one that my parents remember really well. So they would be around 20 years older than you.
Okay.
It's called Grandizer, but apparently in Japan it's called UFO Robot Grandizer. It's so popular that any cheap shop that sells crappy printed tees or something, you can still have pictures of it and toys of it. It's
interesting.
That popular.
Wow.
And the final one is Beyblade. That wasn't that popular. That was the biggest thing when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
The spinny things, the things you launch and they just spin.
Yeah.
That was huge in schools. Everyone had to have one. We didn't really have, I don't know, what would have been a really popular in America just for a school thing, for really young kids, like a fad.
Teletubbies?
More like...
you talking about anime? Well, Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon.
Yes, so that was again for us. So it's our stuff usually that was really really popular came from Japan.
Right.
The collectible aspect.
Yeah.
And when I was like very very young, the only real Western cartoons we had very easily available were very old ones like Looney Tunes or Felix the Cat.
Right. Well, what about Hanna-Barbera?
Yes, a lot of that.
Yeah.
Also, like Scooby-Doo.
Which is what I grew up with. Yeah, Scooby-Doo, all of that. Also, I remember G.I. Joe cartoons and.
We did not get G.I. Joe at all.
Thunder.
Or My Little Pony or Transformers.
Okay, or Thundercats or Voltron was Japanese, but what? What?
I remember distinctly watching the Thundercats but in French.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
He-Man.
Yeah, like it, and
of course, there was He-Man.
Again, that was of course I know the stuff from like now, but I did not know that as a kid.
Right. Yeah, and that was more my younger brother's interest. My younger brother's about 3.5 years younger than me, and he was into He-Man, and by then I was like, it's He-Man. How childish is that? You know.
Yeah. The other interesting thing that I'm not going to mention because it's not relevant to anything is I didn't know this up until quite recently. So Tom and Jerry cartoons were censored.
Yes.
Some of them.
Yes.
We only got the uncensored versions.
Oh wow!
So the ones with the helpers that are black.
Yeah.
Those the ones that were censored. They made her like in a white blonde teenage girl.
Huh.
And some of the other cartoons. We never got that, so I was so confused when I saw a screenshot of it online.
Huh.
So I was like, I recognize that episode.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
We don't really have the connotations of obviously same racism as
Right.
say, would.
Yeah.
So to us, a person who's black and happens to be a maid is just a person who's black and happens to be a
Right.
maid.
Yeah. You know the same history there. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, people with the racist lips drawing things.
Oh right.
For us, these are references to people in a specific area in Egypt.
Right.
Aswan.
Okay.
Because they have, they're black, but they're just well known for having really big lips.
Okay.
Compared to other people in Africa.
Right.
So when people drew that as a kid, I thought that was what they were referencing.
Okay. Right.
So yeah, that completely went over my head as a kid.
Right. See, it's that cultural context that's so critical. It really is. So.
I used to think that Jawbreakers, because of Ed, 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 Eddie, were actually as big as a person's head.
That's awesome.
I distinctly remember when we went to Orlando for vacation, the first thing I wanted was a Jawbreaker. My parents were so confused what that means.
Right, because it doesn't sound pleasant.
No, they gave me this little thing, and I was like, no, it's meant to be as big as my head. They were very confused.
How did you like your first? How was your first Jawbreaker experience once you had it?
I hated it. I don't like sour candy.
Okay, no, not all of them are sour. They come in different flavors, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
The key thing is just the key thing is they're just hard candy. You suck on them because they're too hard. If you try to bite them, they're gonna chip your teeth and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of candy. Anyways, I just wanted it as a kid because I saw it on a cartoon.
Sure, yeah, marketing worked.
Yes. But yeah, I think I'm also very not the best for this because I was so ingrained into American culture from a very young age, more than anyone else I knew.
Mm-hmm.
For no particular reason, I just was.
Right.
So it's hard for me to discern what's very American and what's just something I'm used to.
Sure, of course.
Just growing up and like all the artists I follow, all the authors were most of them were Westerns.
Okay.
A lot of them were American, and
okay.
Just America to me it's hard to just say like America because it was such a big place. It's so different depending on where in America you are.
Right.
And here people I don't think realize that and just call it American.
Right.
So like someone from Texas isn't very similar to someone from like Oregon.
Right. They're very different.
They're really different people.
Exactly. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is quite it is a large country and it is actually fairly diverse. More diverse than most countries because most countries that diversity throughout history has been crushed. Despite the issues we have here, theoretically we're supposed to embrace. It's supposed to be it used to be the melting pot. We're kind of getting more back into, I think, a self-induced segregational period, I think, is where we are socially now, where people are self-identifying with their culture so much that they are self-segregating rather than integrating, right? Because there's been a big pushback. For a long time, it was about integration. You came to the country, you learned English, you did your citizenship thing, and you tried to function as best as possible and blend. Now, that you still had pockets, like we always had when there were large mass migrations, like the Irish and Italian and Chinese, etc. You had these waves of migrations, and then that would create these, Chinatown and parts of cities that were non-English speaking, and have that cultural identity. And you have the Amish out in Pennsylvania, and they have their own area, and so we have these pockets of people who have chosen not to fully integrate. But overall, the general theme was, if you immigrate to America, learn English and blend your culture with the existing culture, and it was supposed to be the blend, and then the next generation would have even better opportunities, and so on. So that was the ideal, not always the reality, but that was the general theory of how things were supposed to work. And up until probably the last couple of decades, that was generally what people were talking about. But increasingly, there's been pushback about concerns over loss of cultural identity and a lot of other things, a whole lot of issues. And I don't want to get into the political stuff of it, but it seems like people are kind of self-induced segregation of late. We don't want it to end up like in Germany, where they have the no-go zones now. Have you heard about those? Both in Paris and in Germany, you now have regions that if you're not of Middle Eastern descent, you don't want to go there. they are now.
Okay. I saw one in Denmark when I visited my friends.
Yeah, these are popping up all over in Europe now. In Paris, there are entire blocks of the city you do not want to go to if you're not of Middle Eastern descent. In Germany, they've had pockets of that, and yeah, I've heard that about Denmark too. So that's when assimilation doesn't happen, and you create segregation. So in the U.S., we had the ghettos and such, right? Bad things happen when you have that level of segregation. When there isn't the integration, that's when you get all of that strife, and it's really problematic. And so Europe is going through that right now with all the mass migrations they're getting.
I think America is the only country in the world that can actually claim that no matter what you look like and you say you're American, it's so believable because it's so diverse.
Yes. Yes. Because otherwise what happens, I mean, look at the Caucasus in Europe. If you look at what used to be, Yugoslavia, Serbia, it's now what, I've lost track, it's changed so many times. So you have, they broke into three countries. Because the Serbian, boy, I'm so bad with names. They had all of the genocide going on between the three different cultures over religion, really.
Okay. I was like, they all have civil wars. I was like, which civil war did this?
Yeah, but it was Serbia, Yugoslavia, and it started with an A. I'm forgetting. Yugoslavia, Serbia. It was all back in the 90s, when the Caucasus just completely separated. And
Yugoslavia doesn't exist anymore.
Right, it doesn't anymore. It's the Slav Republic now, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they everything fractured. And that's what happens if everybody gets all segregated, if everybody refuses to integrate and share and give a little and take a little. Nowadays there's this big thing about cultural appropriation, that if you're a white guy acting too black, or somebody acting too Hispanic, or whatever the culture is, that you're stealing their culture, and that's wrong. And yet that's been part of the integration process, is that there's a give and take between all the different cultures, and then that leads to over time integration. Right now, integration is, once again, and we go through these phases, these things come and go. and it's interesting the different sides of the different arguments and their different perspectives. But yeah, Serbia and Montenegro, Federal Republic of Yugoslavia.
Than being in the same room as someone who's like a social justice warrior.
What's that? What did you say about that?
I'm saying I was never as uncomfortable as I was in a room with this Canadian girl who was a sort of a social justice warrior.
Oh, yeah?
She kept objecting people saying things to me because she kept saying that they were culture appropriating me, and it made me so uncomfortable. Because it was like she kept insisting that there was this weird divide between us, and there was nothing. And
so she was telling you there was a divide that you didn't feel?
She kept yelling at people, like, I gave someone something to wear. It's one of those red cone things that they wear in Turkey and Egypt.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's a Turkish thing. The Pashas wear them, the old-timey, like, higher-up people. And she was like, she went to someone and she said it's very offensive to wear that because they're not of that culture.
Right, yeah, that's that cultural Right, and see, it used to be like, I used to go around back in, I don't know, the 80s. I wore some African robes and stuff, right? I was into drumming and was doing all this. I was just exploring shamanism and all these things. And so I was wearing the clothing and I was welcomed in the groups that I was meeting people from Africa and all over. And back in the 80s, that wasn't a problem. They appreciated that I was curious and wanted to learn more and participating. And it was a very much a give and take. And nowadays, if I were to do that, yeah, that people would be in uproar because they'd say I was stealing somebody else's culture. And so unfortunately, what that does is that's increasing segregation rather than increasing integration, and it has consequences which we are seeing. I'm sorry that you had that experience. That's interesting to hear that specific example.
Oh no, it's fine. I just kept thinking. I was wearing a Sonic Youth T-shirt and like Levi's jeans.
Right.
Like, is that American culture?
Exactly. That's what I was saying. If you then take the same logic, then you should not be wearing. You should be wearing only Saudi Arabian clothing and whatever. You shouldn't be wearing Western gear, right? Because then you're culturally appropriate. We're going to get in trouble continuing this conversation. People are not going to be happy with us.
I just, there is a time where that is definitely wrong, but I don't think in a private party where the person...
Yeah, there are people... Yeah, there are people who do it in an inconsiderate way.
Yeah.
But the assumption that it's being done that way is the problem. It used to be assumed that you were innocent until proven guilty, and that you assumed that people had the better intentions rather than the worst of intentions. Now, currently, and we swing back and forth. These attitudes come and go all the time. The current attitude is that it's the assumption that whatever you're doing, assume the worst of whatever you're saying or doing, rather than assuming the best of intentions. And that's where it's at. And a lot of that is because of social networking and what's happening with the internet right now. And it's really sad because the internet at first opened everything up beautifully to cultural integration and learning all these wonderful things. I've been on the internet since '79 when it was DARPANET through the University of Utah, and it was just a wonderful way to open up the world. And right now, there's been a lot of pushback, in the States and I guess in Canada too. Apparently, I didn't realize. And that's unfortunate. I think we're all hurting ourselves doing that.
It's not focusing on the person as well. It's just yelling for the sake of yelling without caring about the people affected.
Yeah. If she wasn't actually having a dialogue with you, instead she's trying to defend you, and you didn't ask for her to do that. That's
I'm just a Deus ex machina for her to use to get her point across, which made me feel like an object. So I'm like.
Right.
You can speak to me and ask me how I feel about it. It's not your...
Right. Have a conversation. Rather than just assume. Because you know what the phrase is about assuming, right?
Yeah. It makes an ass out of you and me.
Correct.
But yeah, no, it was completely fine. I'm very lucky that I don't honestly suffer any racism or anything.
Good.
Ever.
Good.
Even though I've traveled quite a bit. Except in France, but France is France. Africans, and North Africans are causing issues there. So
right. Well, the no-go zones and all of that are all part of that. Yeah. Well, then they've always been snooty about their language. If you're not Parisian French, you're not speaking French. And it goes back to Victor Hugo. If you read the unabridged version of Les Miserables, and he was talking about the ruining of the French language and the vulgarity of it. And because did you ever read Victor Hugo's Les Miserables?
Yes, and I wanted my time back.
Because it was back in the time when he got paid by the word, so.
Yeah. I know he was a massive French nationalist because he was obsessed
yes.
with their architecture and heritage and buildings.
Yes, and their language. Big language snob.
Fair enough, it's just they think I'm Egyptian, which is the way I look, it's very Egyptian.
Yeah.
I'm half Egyptian. So the fact that I'm not speaking French, they just assume that I'm, I don't know, pretending not to speak. I was like, if I could speak French, I would.
Right. Oh, wow. Oh, interesting.
English, as if it's beneath them to speak English.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So, well, and that's another, that's another thing I like about role-playing games. Even though, unfortunately, here in the West, depending on where you are, the role-playing gamers tend to be, more on the white side, because culturally, other groups haven't considered role-playing gaming something they should do. But luckily, I've been fortunate enough to have very diverse groups of ethnicity and gender and all of that in my groups. Word gets around that they're welcoming, inviting, safe places to game. And that we generally don't go into these discussions, that we're not going to bring up politics and all those things at the game, so that we can set all that side outside the door and focus on this fun world here. And I'm not trying to do any political agendas in the game. There are people who do. I'm there to help us facilitate having just a great time. If it's for therapy or education, well, then we've got therapeutic or educational goals. But I leave all that other stuff out, as best as humanly possible. And it works. It's led to some very diverse groups. And you have people who normally outside of the game would never associate with each other, probably literally cannot stand each other. I've had people who had hated each other since high school, and then they were in their 40s and 50s when they were at my table, and I didn't know this. They had literally been in physical fights in high school against each other. Every time they were past each other's orbits, they hated each other. And I got them to be able to not only play the game, but their characters were basically best buds. Their characters were the most efficient, some of the most efficient team members in the group, even though they still never could stand each other outside of the game. It's very neat to create, when Bowman talks about that magic circle and such, that bubble allows that area to set that stuff aside. All that hatred and all that past stuff they set aside, and we're able to play in character and have a great time. So.
Yeah, and the transcending, one of the things I was excited about for D&D is I'm not very closely associated with any culture, to be fair. I just like what I like.
Right.
A lot of people here are very into Saudi culture. They're very into Arabic culture.
Sure.
And stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah.
They don't really relate to video games because it's westernized or Japanese.
Right.
For the most part. So it's nice that they're doing like a LARP completely in Arabic.
Yeah.
That would give them an idea to immerse themselves instead of speaking English and making it awkward for them.
Right.
They have like broken.
Yeah, no, that definitely put that in your blog. And as that unfolds, as you learn more, please share that. That is exactly the kind of stuff.
We have so many locations to do it as well because there's so many empty space, like desert areas for hiking.
Beautiful. And if you ever get a chance to take some photos and upload them, that will just be awesome. This is the kind of stuff, this is what I'm hoping RPG research will be about, is individuals in all these locations sharing their experiences so that people realize that this is a universal experience with different cultural variants. So this is exactly the kind of stuff we want to make sure the world knows about. Because if you had to do it through a journal or a magazine or whatever, you have so many filters and gatekeepers, you might never learn about these things. And that's why I just want this stuff out there as easily as possible.
Yeah, I do think I would think it's cool if someone like Danny in Brazil goes, because I don't know what the RPG scene is like in Brazil. So
yeah, and he's coming up this Saturday. He's coming up to stay at my place until the 1st.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, he's going to be here. He's talking to Emily Messina, Professor Messina over at EWU, about their therapeutic recreation program. Monday. He's going to be talking to her about that. He's talking about potentially moving up here and finishing up his degree up here in TR, so because he wants to be a professional game master and get paid for a living to do that.
I would love to go stay in America for a while, but Jesus.
Well, no, it's a challenge. But I've got multiple guest rooms. I've got 6 bedrooms and several other rooms here, so I always have room for guests. As long as there's advance. Once I get married, I'll have to get permission in advance. But
Thank you. No, I would just even just not saying it because just seeing you would be cool.
Yes, you are always welcome. Just let me know if you're ever able to make that happen. You have an open invitation.
Would be interesting.
Yeah, I think don't you probably I don't know how cold it gets there. You probably don't want to come here in the winter. Oh, my network's acting out. Cutting out. What was that? Hang on, let me refresh here. And the camera cut out. Can you hear me? Hello? Okay, we seem to be having a network issue.
Hello.
Hello.
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, what were you saying there?
I was saying this is besides it, but Seattle was always my most reference.
Okay, your audio, your connection's cutting out. We seem to be losing our connection here. Oh, darn it. It might be on my end. I'm showing network. It says they're having network issues. Oh, you're refreshing. Okay. Welcome back.
Yeah, sorry, my internet isn't the greatest.
Sure, understood. All right, you were saying about Seattle?
I was obsessed with grunge music as a kid, so I've always wanted to go to Seattle.
Okay. Seattle's about 5.5 hour drive from here.
I would love to just see Washington as a state.
Yes. And Washington's a pretty diverse state because you have the Cascades west are very, very wet and green. They literally have rainforests on the western side of the state. You have the Olympic Peninsula. It's pretty wild and overgrown until you get to Seattle. Then it's heavily metropolitan. Then you go up to the Cascades, which are quite steep mountains. Plus, they have a couple of volcanoes, active volcanoes, or semi-active. They're dormant, but they're growing. They're semi-dormant because you have the volcanoes to the north, volcanoes to the south, which are 14,000 feet. And then you get over the Cascades, which really aren't that tall. The Cascades are only a few thousand feet, not counting the volcanoes, but they catch a lot of snow and such much of the year. And then they create a rain shadow. So then as you go east, it becomes not quite desert. They call it the Palouse. It's a very dry, almost desert climate, but it's mostly rolling fields of farms and such. Just miles and miles and miles, like 100-something, 200 miles of farms. And lots of small little towns, or a few small towns and cities here and there. And then you get to the other side of the state where Spokane is, which is Spokane's the second largest city in Washington State. And it's the eastern end of the state, and we're right at the Idaho border. And we're a little pocket here where a couple of rivers meet, and so it's a very green, nice little area. The weather's a little nicer than the surrounding area. And then you go over into Idaho, and you get right up into the mountains, and those are the Rocky Mountains. And they also have a lot of hot springs. And if you get over the other side of that to Montana and Wyoming, you have Yellowstone National Park, which is a caldera. And a caldera is, it's like a 40-mile across volcano, basically. And everybody's in there touring around in all the hot springs and mud things. That caldera used to be where Spokane is. So as continental drift has moved, there's a hot spot on the continent. And so millions of years ago, where Yellowstone is now, where Yellowstone currently is, that caldera used to be over here on the Palouse side. So the Palouse was formed by massive lava flows and such over eons. So it's quite diverse terrain if you go from one end of the state to the other. Very different climate, terrain, density, everything.
Yeah, I always just do we've always just did the Orlando, Disney, Universal Studios America thing.
Yeah.
which I love that. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's not representative of the country at all.
No, there's so much more. But you're always welcome. There's always an open door invitation. If you ever have a chance to make it out here, you're welcome to stay so you can save on hotel costs. Dan took me up on that from Brazil, so he's coming this Saturday, and he'll be here till March 1st. So that's about 5 or 6 days that he'll be here. And he may, if he decides to go with the TR program at EWU, he might end up moving up here. He won't stay at my house indefinitely then, but he's not welcome to live here. He's welcome to visit, but in my house. But yeah, he might move up to Spokane. He might actually move to Spokane to become a professional game master. We'll see what happens. Did we lose you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm here.
Okay. But yeah, you were always welcome to visit. You just let me know.
I think Washington is the same distance from us as New York, if I'm not mistaken.
Like the other direction, because it's you're cutting out again. It says network connection issue for you. Hello, you cut out again. Can you hear me? Oh, we're losing them. Hello. I think our meeting's going to wrap up here real quick.
Hello there.
Hi, can you hear me? I hear you. Goodness gracious, we're completely... Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I think we're going to have to wrap it up. I think we're losing our connection here. Anyway, yeah, you're open door. You're always welcome if you want to. All right, I think we're going to wrap up the meeting. Please finish writing up that blog posting that we were just talking about your experience with the D20 and the LARP and such. Please whip that up today, and I'd love for us to get that posted today. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, I just heard...
Blog? Do the blog posting today?
Oh, I posted it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, in the RPGSN.
Well, I mean, you were those extra little tidbits you talked about. Oh, you did? Okay, never mind. It's there.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it. I just had to refresh. Okay, great. So then go ahead and copy and paste that onto rpgresearch.com, and we'll make that go live, and then I'll share it.
Oh, do you want me to at least proofread it before that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll comment when it's ready, but I'll do it in a few minutes. So stick around. In fact, let me do it right now.
Okay.
All right. So just found out that a new board game cafe that includes weekly D&D. Okay. So D&D, is that how you guys describe D&D? Is D''ND?
Yeah. Is that weird?
It is to me.
I don't know why. I don't know where I got that from.
Yeah. So normally, because the actual trademark is D ampersand D or Dungeons ampersand Dragons. You know what an ampersand is, right? All right, I'll post a comment here.
Sign and... Oh, okay. So is it all one block? There's no space?
It can be either or.
Okay, I can do that.
Usually it's one block is how most people do it. So I posted that.
There we go.
They are the first of their kind in my city of Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. They provide fully instructive games to any new players and are trying to popularize Dungeons & Dragons in Saudi Arabia. So Dungeons & Dragons is done with an ampersand rather than and. That's the actual trademark. And capitalized, the D's are both capitalized.
Are we going to get sued if we use the actual trademark?
No, that's actually how you're supposed to use it. And if you want, you can put in parentheses. Hang on, I'm updating. post my comment.
Some of this is just grammatically incorrect.
Yep. So that's why we do a quick little tweak and clean up. That's okay, but we don't want to bog it down too much. Oh, I've got to reconnect to the network. Great. Helps if I'm on the network. What is going on with my network? Okay, so I posted a comment with examples, the correct examples. Okay, so blah, 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 good. I tried to get into an intro, that would be introductory game rather than introduction game.
Okay.
Introductory game just to see what they're like, but they're fully booked, unfortunately. They have a Twitter that is very passionate about D&D, and they were announcing that they plan on hosting a LARP fully in Arabic. Jeddah is no stranger to nerd culture. Some of my oldest memories as a kid include Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, and Beyblade tournaments. Anime was one of the biggest forms of entertainment. Captain Tsubasa, named Captain Majid over here, was one of the biggest cultural moments of my youth. UFO Robot Grendizer was one of the most popular reruns during the 80s. Cartoon channels were Cartoon channels had mostly very old Western cartoons. Tom and Jerry, Felix the Cat, Looney Tunes. And a lot of anime. Case closed. So case closed, if that's the title, you want to capitalize that. For case closed. Was particularly popular. Called Detective Conan in the Middle East. And Middle East would be capitalized as well, wouldn't it?
It is a pronoun. You'd think I would know that right now.
It's not pronoun, it's a proper noun.
Oh, sorry.
Pronoun would be he, she, it. Then you wouldn't capitalize. And then the quick question is, do you have your profile? Let's see if you've fleshed out your profile on the public site. I know you have on the RPGSN, that's good. I'm just looking at your public
My
one.
brain is so fried. In Arabic, I call the noun an adjective. And I was
Oh.
very adamant about it. I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, no, it is. Yeah, I need to stop for the day.
Yeah, and then I would quickly copy the profile info you have on the RPGSN to your profile on the public site, whatever you're comfortable with. Just so, because people are going to want to click and learn about you once they see this blog posting. And that's good. We want people to want to know. But that looks good. When we fix those typos, I think you're good to go.
I fixed them all.
Good. Excellent. So now just copy and paste that into the one you started on the public site.
That would be under my name and user. Right?
You just
that would be under volunteer.
Well, no, your profile, on the lower left-hand corner once you're logged in on rpgresearch.com.
My folder?
Yeah, you go to
Okay.
I think it's my preference. I think it's preferences, but it might be my folder. Or it could be dashboard. Any one of those three. Okay, so your folder is going to have your content, your preferences. Come on, server. Boy, it's being intermittent.
Dashboard, maybe?
Okay, your preferences have your personal info, which is your editor. Okay.
Oh, there we go. It is your preferences.
Yeah, under personal.
Sorry, it's dashboard.
It's dashboard, okay. So just copy paste your profile info from your RPGSN to that. I would put a picture because people will connect more with a blog posting if there's a picture, as long as you're okay with that.
So uncomfortable.
Are you? All right. You don't have to if you
I
don't.
hate it.
All right. If you're not comfortable publicly, then I won't make you. But
Maybe later on.
that's fine. Just if you're going to get published at some point, you're going to have to deal with that.
Oh yeah, I know. It's not my favorite thing in the world.
But you don't have to have a picture or you can use a picture that isn't you. It could be a picture of an avatar or something. Like I have an avatar made of me, a cartoon one that I use often. I paid $5 on Fiverr to have somebody make one of me.
I'm not that fancy.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah, so just put your info in there and then update your blog posting so that it matches. And then I'll make it public and then I'll start to tweet it around the Twitterverse.
Okay.
Oh, and I got somebody asking for quantitative data measurements for role-playing games in the classroom for 6th to 12th grade students. So they're contacting me to try to narrow down because they're getting buried in the group chat on teaching and with D&D. Yep, I'll give them a hand in a minute.
Posting. So it was dashboard, right? I just gotta edit the one already.
Yep.
Oh, I thought I had research about the classroom thing, but it wasn't that. It's using RPGs for English as a second language.
Okay.
How does one edit? You just press edit?
Yeah, on the left-hand side, you select. So first make sure you've selected the correct item that you're on that page,
Yes,
and then on the
okay,
left,
yeah.
you just click edit.
I hope D20 appreciates this promo.
Sure they will.
Okay, I'll change the title to match the ampersand. Do you want the picture of the people?
That works. Yeah, that works. Yeah, pictures work better to bring people in.
Did not save in JPEG. That's so weird.
What?
It's saved in a very weird image format. When I changed it back to JPEG, it was fine.
PNG?
No, it was like JPEG_CLX.
Oh, you got a weird link thing.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's from their Twitter, though.
Yeah, maybe that's how they're trying to prevent people grabbing it. All sorts of weird embedding things that people do.
Oh, need to edit it because I spelled nerd as nerf.
We have lots of Nerf culture. Nerf swords,
Yeah.
Nerf football, Nerf... Scruffy looking Nerf herders from Star Wars. Who's scruffy looking? That was, I think, Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that works. All right. Good to go?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and set that to publish. And then I'm going to start spreading it on Twitter and Facebook and what have you.
Going through the social media motions.
Yep. Oh, I'm going to add a quick little edit. You're not in that file currently, right?
No.
I'm going to add a quick little blurb at the bottom about you, saying that you are a volunteer, that you're a staff member of RPG Research, helping as a researcher.
Okay.
Just a quick little about the author. See, that was easy.
Yeah, I kept just being mesmerized by their Twitter as well, because it just has so many references that I just don't know to RPG things.
Okay, interesting. Well, lots to learn.
Yeah, I did not know who Matt Mercer was.
Oh yeah, I know he's a big deal.
Yeah, like they say, any recommendations for a D&D 5e level 17 to 20 one shot? I don't know what that means.
Do you remember when you started with us?
Like August last year or something?
Yeah, okay, that sounds...
Oh, 1 second. Have I mixed up the names? 1 second.
Don't try to edit it yet.
Oh, I'm not. I'm just double checking. I think D20 is the name of the group, not the actual store.
Okay. Go ahead and get that straightened out. And that's okay. You can reference it as one of the groups. You could have one link for the store and one link to one of the groups, because that's still worth noting. But give a description of what the links are for.
It's just the community that supports it.
Okay.
It's the people running it. It's not the actual store.
Well, I would have both links with a description as to what each link is. So I'm saving the file so I can get out of it so you can edit it. Come on, server, being so slow. All right,
I just add a line that just says below is the link.
Yeah, I'm out of that file, so you can edit it now. So yeah, just make a quick little blurb that says, here's the links to the store and here's a link to one of the relevant groups.
The store has one.
What's that?
I don't think the store has a link.
Okay, then just to the group then.
Oh.
And if you find out more info later, just come back and edit and add as you need to.
Okay, there's the board game cafe. Yeah, they don't have a link. They just have the Google Maps thing.
Okay.
Oh, it's it's not showing me that you added anything.
Refresh.
Yeah.
I just added a little about the author at the bottom.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah. Is it frequently or occasionally? Since I've known you, it's been frequently. Around the world.
Sorry?
Well, in the short time I've known you, you've traveled around Europe and stuff frequently. So I don't know how often you do that.
Yeah, I travel a lot. It's
okay.
Like what I save all my money to do. I just really like traveling.
Good. That's my middle son's doing that. He's on his way to Russia next.
Oh, yeah. I would love to go to Russia. I'm just always too scared. It just seems insane.
Yeah, but he's been going all over. He was in, let's see, this past year he's been all over Japan because it was his girlfriend at the time, and then Shanghai and all over Canada and all over the Netherlands and yeah, now he's heading to Russia next. He's a software developer who can work remotely most of the time, so he has a lot of flexibility. He can work while he's traveling. As long as he has a good internet connection, that's all that matters. Did you finish editing that file?
I'm saving it right.
Okay.
I just said the lore, the Twitter and website for the Arabian group that is dedicated to promoting D&D in the Middle East.
Okay.
Now I'm just going to save it. You want me to get out of the page?
No, you can be viewing it, just don't be editing it anymore.
Okay, I'm not editing it.
Okay. Then I will make another tweak. I just wanted to...
I still don't see
what?
Lower section, though. I don't see it about the author one.
Really?
Yeah, I saw it when I was editing it.
Oh, your browser cat. What browser are you using?
Chrome?
Yeah, Chrome is overzealous in caching. So you're seeing a previously cached version. Just hit Control-R to refresh.
I mean, as long as you can see it, it's fine.
Yeah. Let's see. And you are... Do you remember your volunteer ID number? It is... You are number 32. So in the time since we met, we've gone from number 32 to number 55.
It's pretty good.
That's why I'm so swamped, because I'm trying to onboard and train so many people so quickly. It's like, oh, now I don't see your changes there anymore. Did they not save?
Oh no.
Oh, well, okay, you added below are the Twitter and website for an Arabian group that is dedicated to promoting D&D in the Middle East, right?
Yes.
That's what you added. Okay, it's there, but mine is gone. For some reason. Weird. Well, luckily, I saved it. I saved it in my memory and just Control-V'd and it's back. So, I got it covered. All right. Let's see. Let's see. What number did I say you are? 32. 2, okay. 32.
Yeah, they're crediting it Boom and Tabletop Gaming with board games to the Comic-Con that just happened a couple years back. over here.
Okay. Wow.
Um, they're saying because people were selling a lot of board games that they've never seen before during Comic-Con. I actually don't know if it's happening again this year. It's March in America, right?
No, it's February 19th.
Oh, it's today?
Today's February 19th.
So is it today?
Is what today? The Comic-Con? What?
Oh, no, yeah. I'm saying when is Comic-Con usually?
Comic-Con's usually in the late summer, I think, isn't it?
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. I've never been. There's a whole bunch of different Comic-Cons. You talking about the San Diego Comic-Con?
Yes.
Okay, that's the big one. Yeah, I'd have to look that up. I think that's usually in the spring or summer. I don't know when it is. I don't actually know.
I know every country does it differently.
Okay, so now you can refresh your page and you should see the info I listed. All it says is Omar is a member of the RPG Research staff in the role of research assistant. He has been with RPG Research since August 2018. He is I should have had a comma in there, but he is volunteer number 32 of more than 55 RPG Research volunteers worldwide. I'm going to put a comma in there. He resides in Saudi Arabia, but travels the world frequently.
Oh, yeah. Traveled a lot more if the visas weren't such an issue.
Yes, yes. Papers, now! Give us your papers!
America isn't that much of an issue, it's more like Europe.
Yes. Well, even with the EU, because that was supposed to make all that easier.
No, the EU is quite easy. They just require you to have a plane ticket already.
Oh, to ship you out if you violate, huh?
Like America and the UK don't require that.
Right. Interesting. Well, that's why we have a lot of people who overstay their visas. We have millions of people who've overstayed their visas here.
Well, people overstay in the EU too.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop them very
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the Canada and Australia are semi-impossible to get in.
Oh yeah, Canada's really restrictive, especially if you want to move.
Canada.
If you want to move there, especially.
Because of their healthcare.
Yep.
Yeah, my cousin gave birth in Canada, and they denied her mom the visa twice. Even though she was just going to see the birth of her granddaughter. So Comic-Con isn't the summer, it's in July.
Yeah, that's what I figured, yeah.
Pretty sure the London one is in March.
Okay.
I don't know why. Are you not a fan of Comic-Con?
I'm not a fan of huge crowds. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm okay if I'm on stage, if I'm on a panel or whatever, that's fine. But I'm in the crowd, it's just so much stimulus. I did security for years. I was a bodyguard, bouncer, and other things for a number of years in the 80s and 90s. And, you know, I've been shot at and attempted stabbings and all of that stuff, so I'm pretty vigilant. So being in a crowd surrounded by people where I can't watch my back really puts me on edge.
Oh, okay. I assumed you just don't like crowds.
What's that?
Like, I just assumed you just don't really like crowds.
I don't know. I don't know if that is a PTSD thing or because I don't remember it being a problem when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I remember going to. Well, I remember going to like the festivals and not particularly liking, but I don't remember it really bothering me. So I'm pretty sure I developed it as a self-protection because of the times, you know, because I had bad stuff happen in my late teens and early 20s, and I saw bad things happen, and so I'm pretty vigilant. Like when I sit in restaurants, so you know how in role-playing games you often want to sit in the dark corner where you can observe all the exits. Right? That's me in real life. I'm always the guy trying to find the corner where I've got my back to the wall and I can watch all the exits and not be, in front of a window where there can be a drive-by. I've been caught in drive-bys and stuff. I haven't been hit, but I've been places that my apartment has been shot up before. I woke up with bullet holes right above my bed through my walls because I did security for apartment complexes in bad neighborhoods and such, and they didn't like me. So a few issues that have led to some vigilance, but it's kept me alive, right? Most of the people I knew from that time are dead, and I'm alive, so it paid off. But that it does. It isn't like I don't get completely overwhelmed. It's not like I get sick, but it does put me on edge, and it does get a little fatiguing. So again, if I'm up on the stage and I'm talking and I'm focusing on talking to the audience or talking to the panel, or if I'm doing theater and I'm in a character, not a problem. But if I'm down in a crowd, and I don't have a problem with going to the movie theater. If I'm in a movie theater, that's fine. But if a crowd of people milling about who are all walking and bumping into each other, and there's pickpockets and what have you, that I'm just in hypervigilant mode, and I just don't particularly enjoy being in that mode. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I did security for years. I mean, both physical security and virtual security, and so you end up, you train to be on your guard because that's what makes you better at what you do. And old habits die hard.
Fair enough.
And RPG Dots has been very helpful with our fundraising thing, helping spread the word. And we keep helping them because they're doing such great stuff too. So thanking them. And good. That's definitely helping. All right, and let's see. Whoops. Let's go over and check if I tweeted that yet. All right, now I'm going to tweet yours. Every time I type Middle East, I always have to catch myself because I write so much Tolkien stuff, I often end up writing Middle Earth by accident. I've had to go back and fix the number of papers that I accidentally did that. Because I'm talking about role-playing gaming, and then I mentioned the Middle East, and I conflated into Middle Earth, and I don't even catch it until later.
Same thing, really.
Let's see what else. D20. All right, so that's for. And I'd love for you to keep adding your little personal perspectives about how, while video games are popular, tabletop and LARP are kind of a new thing. Did you mention in there that they're going to do an
Arabic LARP? Yes. It's the end of the first paragraph.
Okay, yes, good. Excellent. I think that is going to get some eyeballs. I hope. I'm going to try. I'm going to spread the word. Okay. So I've got it on Twitter. I did the base one on Facebook. Now I've got to do all the other, go to the groups and such. It'll take a while. I'm going to bid you adieu. Go ahead and work on your formal blog posting, if you could please, so we can get that published soon. And you have a wonderful week. Again, feel free to email if you need anything or post in get used to using the RPGSN. Start cruising through there. Try to make it a once-a-day thing where you kind of check for any new updates and such. Post on the forums, post on the blog postings. I'm trying to get everybody to be more engaged there so that we can, feel more connected as a community. And we're going to be soon inviting other professionals to join. So like the Adams and the others, we're going to ask them to join the network, getting ready to offer our top tier Patreon supporters access. So, but I got to move it. I got to move it over to a faster server soon, but still get used to using it. At some point here, I'll have a training on it. So if you have any questions on using it, feel free to let me know. So thank you for everything, Omar.
Thank you too.
Before I say goodbye, was there anything else you wanted to cover?
No, I'm good.
Okay, great. All right, I'll catch you later. Catch you next week. Get a chance to read those at-risk postings and give feedback on those too, please.
Okay.
All right, take care. Bye. And thank you for watching. And we're here with our research meetings every Tuesday, 9 a.m. to noon, and we're adding a second research meeting for those in different time zones. It's going to be starting this coming Sunday, so that'll be Sunday, February 24th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific time will be an additional researchers meeting, so we can get some of the other researchers who can't make it during the week. And you can check out our previous videos on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/RPG Research. And if you're not yet a donor, please donate. Go to rpgresearch.com/donate, or just click on donate. Or if you wanted to have a Patreon subscription, get access to everything early, go to patreon.com/RPG Research. Wherever you may be well, happy gaming, and namaste.